Hi, you're watching Just the News. I'm Mamata Balachandra. Let's get straight to it. On to updates now from Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin on Friday inspected flood mitigation efforts in Chengalpet and Kanchipuram districts and distributed relief measures to the people in relief camps. Now, the red alert that was issued by the IMD has been withdrawn. Schools and colleges remain closed, however, today as well. At least 14 people have died in rain-related incidents over the last 11 days. Now, speaking to ANI, Dr. S. Balachandran, who is the head of RMC IMD, said, and I quote, a low pressure area will form tomorrow in the far south Andaman Sea tomorrow, likely to move west-northwestwards in a concentrated depression by the 15th. Light to moderate rainfall expected in Chennai and suburban areas, end quote. Now, state disaster management authorities also said, and I quote, thunderstorms with heavy rain are likely to occur in the Nilgiris district for 5 days beginning the 12th of November, end quote. Now, in the meantime, according to PTI, Chief Minister of Puducherry, N. Rangaswamy, on Friday announced a slew of measures as well to mitigate the sufferings of farmers, fishermen, dairy farmers, and construction workers because of the rains. Meanwhile, in Delhi, it's continued to report severe air quality as the smog caused irritation in the eyes and low visibility as well, like is the case every year. Delhi's 24-hour average air quality index was at its worst this season with 471 at 4 p.m. today. Yesterday, it was 411. It was the same case in Faridabad, Ghaziabad, Greater Noida, Gurugram, and Noida, all of whom recorded severe air quality. Over 4,000 farm fires have accounted for 35% of Delhi's pollution today, according to several reports. Now, an AQI between 401 and 500 is in the severe quality. According to the CPCB, which is the Central Pollution Control Board, the 24-hour average concentration of particles known as PM2.5 in Delhi-NCR crossed the 300 mark around midnight and stood at 381 micrograms per cubic meter on Friday. Also in the news, 3 petitioners, 2 advocates, and 1 journalist who have been booked under UAPA in connection with their social media posts and work related to the recent communal violence in Tripura have moved the Supreme Court seeking quashing of the FIRs and challenging constitutional validity of several provisions of the UAPA. They've challenged the Section 210 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, 1967 of the UAPA, which defines unlawful activity, Section 13, which is punishment for unlawful activity, and 43D5, which is restrictions on grant of bail of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Now, the police said, and I quote, the unlawful activities are defined in such a vague manner to make its application solely on the discretion of police machinery. Neither the accused would be put on notice as to what exactly is the offense which has been committed, nor would the authorities administering the section be clear as to on which side of the draw a particular speech or expression will fall, end quote. Now, according to a report by the Bar and Bench, the plea was mentioned before Chief Justice of India on Thursday for urgent hearing, and the court has now agreed to list the same. Moving on now, a special PMLA court on Friday extended the ED custody of former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh till the 15th of November in connection with a money laundering case. Now, Anil Deshmukh was arrested on the 2nd of November after nearly 12 hours of interrogation. He faced extortion charges after former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh leveled serious allegations against him. Now, Parambir Singh alleged that Anil Deshmukh directed suspended police officer Sachin Vaze and others to collect 100 crore rupees from bars and restaurants over a month. Some worrying news coming in from Kerala. The Kerala government today said people need to be vigilant of the Norovirus infection that causes vomiting and diarrhea. Now, cases have been reported in 13 students of a veterinary college in Pukade in Wayanad district. Now, Health authorities have said that they are preparing a data bank of the students of the Veterinary Science College, besides holding an awareness class as part of preventive measures as well. Now, speaking to the media, Health Minister Veena George said, and I quote, "Currently, there is no cause for concern, but everybody should be vigilant," end quote. Now, the norovirus are a group of viruses that cause gastrointestinal illness. Now, the virus causes inflammation of the lining of the stomach and intestines, as well as severe vomiting and diarrhea. Now, this animal-borne disease also can be spread through direct contact with infected individuals. Now, the virus is also spread through the excrement and vomit of an infected person. Now, these are the guidelines that have been issued. As per those guidelines, the infected people should rest at home as directed by the doctor and should drink ORS solution and boiled water. Now, as preventive measures, one should also take proper care of the immediate environmental hygiene and personal hygiene as well. An update now on COVID. India has reported 12,516 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. There's a glimmer of hope here. The count of active cases in the country has declined to 1,37,416. And the good news is that it is the lowest in 267 days. Now, Kerala has reported in the meantime 6,674 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Also in the news, the Lancet has finally published a peer-reviewed study confirming the phase 3 analysis of data on the safety and efficacy of Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Now, in a statement, Bharat Biotech said, and I quote, "The Lancet peer review confirms the efficacy analysis that demonstrates Covaxin to be effective against COVID-19. Covaxin is the only COVID vaccine to have demonstrated efficacy data from phase 3 clinical trials against the Delta variant at 65.2%. Also, the center has revised guidelines for international arrivals and exempted children below 5 years of age from both pre and post arrival COVID-19 testing. However, according to PTI, if children below 5 years are symptomatic on arrival or during home quarantine, they will have to undergo tests and will also be treated as per the laid down protocol. Now, this standard operating procedure will be valid from the 12th of November onwards till further orders. According to the guidelines, if travelers are fully vaccinated and coming from a country with which India has reciprocal arrangements for mutual acceptance of vaccines, they should be allowed to leave the airport and not undergo home quarantine. They, however, have to self-monitor for 14 days. Now, if travelers are partially or not vaccinated, then they will have to home quarantine for 7 days. Let's now take a look at what's making news from the world of business. According to the data released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, the country's retail inflation measured by the Consumer Price Index rose marginally to 4.48% in the month of October. Retail inflation during the month of September, however, was at 4.35%. In the meantime, India's factory output, measured in terms of the index of industrial production, witnessed a year-on-year growth of 3.1% in September. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das have launched two schemes, RBI Retail Direct Scheme and RBI Bank Integrated Ombudsman Scheme. Now, what are these schemes? The first scheme allows retail investors to invest in government securities. According to the RBI, the scheme will allow retail investors to open and maintain their government securities account free of cost. Now, the second scheme is a One Nation, One Ombudsman system with one portal, one email, and one address for customers to lodge grievances. Now, Prime Minister Modi also went on to say that India has become the world's leading country in terms of digital transactions in a very short span of time. The Union Minister of State for Finance, Bhagwat Karan, has said that buoyancy in GST collection in October shows the Indian economy that was adversely affected by the pandemic is on the path to swift recovery. Now, goods and services tax collection remained above the 1 lakh crore rupee mark for the fourth month in a row at over 1.3 lakh crore rupee in October, indicating the impact of festive buying. Now, this was the second highest collection of GST since its implementation on the 1st of July 2017. Let's now take a look at what else is making headlines across the world. Now, the Austrian Chancellor has said that the country is days away from placing several people who are not fully vaccinated against COVID under lockdown. Now, the remarks indicate that people who have not been vaccinated won't be able to leave home unless it's for essential reasons, for going to work, buying food, or exercise. Now, this comes after Austria has recorded around 12,000 new COVID cases on Thursday, the biggest single day rise in cases since the pandemic began. Also in the news, according to a report by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, more than 84 million people have been displaced due to conflict, violence, and climate change. Now, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees said, and I quote, "The international community is failing to prevent violence, prosecution, and human rights violations, which continue to drive people from their homes. The international community must redouble its efforts to make peace and at the same time must ensure resources are available to displaced communities and their hosts." End quote. Let's now take a look at sports news. BCCI today announced Team India's squad for the upcoming two-match test series against New Zealand. Ajinkya Rahane will captain the side in the test series, while Virat Kohli will join the squad for the second test. Now, Rohit Sharma has been rested for the series. Shreyas Iyer, who's yet to make his test debut, has been included in the squad. And one piece of good news before we wrap up this bulletin, a team of 4 students and 2 professors from IIT-Bombay have won $250,000 grant by XPRIZE Foundation and Elon Musk's Musk Foundation. Now, this is part of Musk's $100 million prize for the development of best carbon capture technology. Now, the team developed a new tri-modular technology for low-cost, efficient capture of carbon dioxide from point sources of emission and transforming them instead into salts. That's a wrap here on Just the News. Thank you so much for watching.